שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. יאללה לה יאללה לה 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 לה, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. יאללה לה יאללה לה 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 לה, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד.
We're still always amazed that no one's from here originally, but everyone's from somewhere, and we all know these different tunes that we put together, or there might be a few new ones, but it's wonderful to hear our little choir out there singing and joining with us. The bottom of page 8 as we continue responsively with our family prayer. May we never take for granted the gift of Shabbat as we sit nestled in the Rocky Mountains, sharing this humble moment with family and friends. Satisfaction of celebrating Shabbat hearten our spirits. Let Shabbat peace bring quiet to our souls. Allow this time set aside for song and prayer to bring us closer together in thoughts and deeds. The space we share become our place of devotion, glowing with reverence and filled with our traditions. May the end of this week encourage us to examine our actions and let us look ahead toward the new week, so we're worthy of all of God's blessings. The top of page 8, we join together. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bachem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzidchem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
I'm going to make this Cantor's choice.
All right.
Yedid Nefesh or Lachuna Ranana?
I think we're gonna do Lachuna Ranana.
Great. The bottom of page 10 as we join together, it's beautiful prayer. Come sing praises to God. The psalm is composed by David according to legend, and time the Israelites were wandering through the wilderness. Beautiful. The bottom of page 10.
Lachuna Ranana. Yai lai 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 L'Adonai. Yai lai 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 Nariah. Yai lai 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 L'Tzur Yisheinu. Yai lai 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 lai. Let us sing out to God, maker of all, sure and strong. Let all of creation from mountain to sea hear our song. Lechu neranana, ya Eloi, 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 LaAdonai, ya Eloi, 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 Naria, ya Eloi, 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 Litzor Yishaynu, ya Eloi, Eloi, Eloi.
And as we lift up our eyes to the mountains, we ask, from where does our help come? Our mountains, Jerusalem mountains. Page 12, as we join together at the top of the page, Sinai.
Sinai, El Harim, Me'ayin Yavo Ezri. Sinai, El Harim, Me'ayin Yavo Ezri. Ezri, Ve'im Adonai, Oseh Shamayim Va'aretz. Ezri, Ve'im Adonai, Oseh Shamayim Va'aretz. Sinai, El Harim, Me'ayin Yavo Ezri. Sinai, El Harim, Me'ayin Yavo Ezri. Ezri, Ve'im Adonai, Oseh Shamayim Va'aretz. Ezri, Ve'im Adonai, Oseh Shamayim Va'aretz.
And in all that we do, whether we're hiking, biking, skiing, we try to take care of this beautiful nature that surrounds us, so it's here for those that come after us. We have that covenant with God, page 15, middle of the page. As we live amidst the trees, streams, and mountains of Vail, we pray for the care and healing of the earth so that present and future generations may enjoy the fruits of creation. God made a covenant with Abraham and Sarah, blessing them and their descendants throughout the generations. We teach our children to love Judaism, to honor and carry on our traditions, the laws of the Torah, so our legacy may continue. God made a covenant with Moses and the Israelite people to all generations, giving our people the 10 Commandments and challenging us to choose a life of goodness. May each day be filled with kindness, honesty, integrity, and righteous acts, so remain filled with the promise of those covenants. Page 16 at the top of the page, Lecha Dodi, as we welcome the Sabbath bride.
Lecha lecha dodi, likra likratka, Pnei pnei Shabbat nikavela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likratka, Pnei pnei Shabbat nikavela. Lecha dodi, likra likratka, Pnei pnei Shabbat nikavela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likratka, Pnei pnei Shabbat nikavela. Shamor v'zachor b'ribor echad, Hishmi'anu el ha'meichad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shemo tiferet ve'litchila lecha dodi, likrat likratka, Pnei pnei Shabbat nikavela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likratka, Pnei pnei Shabbat nikavela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nilcha, Ki hi mekor ha'beracha, Mirosh mikerem nisucha, Sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila lecha dodi, likrat likratka, Pnei pnei Shabbat nikavela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likratka, Pnei pnei Shabbat nikavela. Mikdash Melech Ir Melucha Kumitzi Mitohafacha Rav Lach Sheves Be'emet Chavacha Ehu Yachmol Aleichem La 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 Chadodi Likra Likrat Kala B'nei B'nei Shabbat Mikavela Lecha Lecha Dodi Likrat Likrat Kala B'nei B'nei Shabbat Mikavela.
Page 18, we rise, face the rear of the sanctuary as we greet the Sabbath bride.
Oh, v'shalom ateret bala, gam misimcha u'v'tzala, tachem oinei antigula, mo'ikala, la 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 chadodi, likra likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat mikavela, lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat mikavela, la 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 chadodi, likra likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat mikavela. Lecha lecha dodi likrat likrat kala B'nei b'nei Shabbat nikavela.
Maybe seated. It's interesting that we go through different things within our service that are halacha, meaning this is what Jewish law would tell us to do and what to recite. And others that would be more agadah, which is customs and traditions. And I like getting into an argument with people sometimes about this. But at a wedding, there is a tradition that would follow Lecha Dodi, that when the bride comes in, you stand for the bride. Where does that come from? Oh, what we just sang? We rise, face the Sabbath bride as she enters into our sanctuary. But then there's customs amongst other people say, never. Why, am I getting a little controversial here? I know. So people have different opinions. It's the same with the Shema. I know when I was growing up in Dallas, everyone stood for the Shema. Because it says when you rise up in the morning and when you go to sleep. Well, here the tradition is always stay seated. So we don't know where they all come from, but just thought I'd mention that. We'll continue responsibly at the top of page 21. It is good to give thanks to you, O Lord, to praise your name through song, to speak in the morning of your loving kindness and your faithfulness each night. And why do we have a guitar here? To the music of the lute, the harp, the melody of the lyre, I'll sing with my delight. We join together at the bottom of page 20. Tzadikatamar yifrach ke'eres bavanon Shetulim beveit Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvun b'seiva Shenim Ra'ananim Yehiu Lehaki Ki Yashar Adonai Suri I didn't realize we had such a big fan club in Philadelphia, so we're going to give this next reading to you, and they get to watch what you're doing. We're turning to page 23 for that wonderful reading taken from the Boston Globe, just for today. And who is it that is going to be watching this?
We have Rosin, Ed, Katz, and Bob, and Spellmaster.
Well, let's make sure they see you.
Shabbat shalom.
Please lead us responsibly on page 23.
Oh, sure.
Oh, this way they can really see you. Yes, come up here. The face right there. Okay, here we go.
I was unsure.
Page 23.
That was part of the invitation, right?
Okay. Okay, page 23 responsibly.
Just for today, I will live one day only, forgetting yesterday and tomorrow, and not trying to solve the whole problem of life at once.
Just for today, I'll be unafraid of life and death, unafraid to enjoy the beautiful and be happy. People are as happy as they make up their minds to be.
Just for today, I will adjust myself to what is, and not try to adjust everything to suit me. If I cannot have what I like, I will try to like what I have.
Just for today, I'll be agreeable, cheerful, charitable, do my best, praise people for what they can do, not criticize them for what they cannot do. If I find fault, I'll forgive it and forget it. I'll try not to improve nor regulate anybody except myself.
Just for today, I will have a plan. I may not follow it exactly, but I will have one. It will save me from worry, hurry, and indecision.
Just for today, I'll get people off my nerves and not get on theirs. I'll appreciate them for what they do and what they are.
Just for today, I will not show it if my feelings are hurt.
Just for today, a little time for quiet, to relax, to realize what life is and can be. Time to think about God and get a better perspective of myself.
Just for today, I will look at life with fresh eyes and discover the wonder of it. I will know that as I give to the world, so the world will give to me.
Thank you. I hope they were watching. We turn to page 24 in our prayer books for our call to worship as we all rise and join together in the Baruch Hu.
Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed Le'olam va'ed Yalalai lai lai Yalalai lai lai Yalalai lai lai Yalalai lai lai Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la.
May be seated. Just this past week, we lost one of the great Talmudic scholars of our lifetime, Rabbi David Weiss Halivni. He was one of my teachers at the seminary. And if you look at page 26, you can see why I included this. He knew the Talmud by heart, which was amazing. We were struggling with each word. But as we would put ours in front of us to study, he would read it upside down, which is why in the bottom of page 26, we put that one section from the Talmud printed upside down. He didn't really need to see it because he knew it by heart anyway, but we lost him this week, and it was very sad. Well, we'll turn in our prayer books now to page 28 as we continue Ahavat Olam. We'll join with the cantor.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Avta Torah u'mitzvot חוקים ומשפטים אותנו למדת כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו וקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ומצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו באורך ימינו ובהם נגע יומם ולילה ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל אוהב עמו ישראל.
Nathan, did you take off your name tag so we don't know you when we come up here to lead us in this Shema? Shall we bring? Why don't you both come up?
Yeah, you can come up. Anyone else like to come and lead the Shema?
I bet there's a couple Ramah people that know how to do this. So we join together, page 30. I think you know it. Okay.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad
Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושננתם בבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובבטח בדרך ובשעריך ובקומך וכשרתם לאות ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Thank you. There's so much that we're grateful for living here, visiting here. The top of page 32 as we continue responsively in English. As the sun sets slowly behind the mountains of Vail, we gather together appreciative of the many gifts we enjoy. For this Shabbat, amidst the peacefulness of these surroundings, let us no longer focus on that which we desire, but rather upon what we already savor, the quietness of the creek and the soft mountain air. We thank you each day for health of body, mind, and spirit. Let our daily actions reflect our gratefulness for our lives every moment with every breath. Prayers surrounded by family and friends. Let's joyfully lift our voices in song, grateful to God who has given us the blessing of Shabbat. Middle of page 32.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nezar b'kodesh, nora tehilot oseh peleh, nora tehilot oseh peleh. Malchutecha ra'u lach le'olam va'ed. Adonai lach le'olam va'ed. Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai. Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai. Yai lai la lai lai yai lai la lai. Yai la lai lai yai lai 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 lai.
Well, on this Shabbat evening, we seek peace and comfort. Shield us from the hatred and destruction that plagues so many corners of the world. And console those in need as we continue to the top of page 34. Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom Lehamidenu Malkeinu leChaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom Lehamidenu Malkeinu leChaim. Ushmor tzitzeinu Uloeinu Lechaim u'shalom Me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom Lehamidenu Malkeinu leChaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom Lehamidenu Malkeinu leChaim.
Well, taken from the book of Exodus, in 6 days the Lord created the heavens and the earth. The seventh day he ceased from his work and rested. Your choice on Vishamru?
Let's see.
Peppy.
Veshamru Bnei Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat L'dorotam berit olam. Veshamru Bnei Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat L'dorotam berit olam. Ve'nu ve'il Bnei Yisrael Oti le'olam, Oti le'olam. Veshamru Bnei Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat L'dorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz. Veshamru Bnei Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat L'dorotam berit olam. U'vayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. Veshamru Bnei Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat L'dorotam berit olam. Veshamru Bnei Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat L'dorotam berit olam.
Where there are those in our community who are in need of healing of body, mind, or spirit, If you have someone in your life who is in need of healing, please feel free in just a moment to share their name aloud as we move about the sanctuary. Page 38 at the top of the page as we continue. Misha Barach.
Misha Barach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen.
Keep in our thoughts and prayers Gail Balin, Sue Beiser, Linda Colin, Bonnie Colton, Blanche Deutsch, Lynn Deutschman, Carol Ann Finn, David Freed, Jane Friedman, Deborah Goldman, Cliff Goldman, Donald Jaffe, Warren Janowitz, Mary Sue Katz, Skip Plowens, Herman Keek, Brian Kushner, Renee Myers, Pedro Prince, Stephen Reese, Chip Ruth, Roberta Scheller, Sam Schwartz, Bill Silvers, Nina Stempler, Maurice Strauss, Alan Tannenbaum, Toby Weinstock, Tebby Wellens, and Mickey Winokur. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Misha Barach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We turn to page 40 and rise as we continue with the Reader's Kaddish.
Yitkadal, Yitkadash Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Yamad Divra Kirteh Ve'amlich Machuteh.
V'chayechon v'yomechon u'chayedecho Beit Yisrael Bagala, Bagala u'vizman kariv.
Ve'yimeru.
Amen. Yesh me'ra v'mevarach Alam Lameho Maya Yitbarach.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach. Yitbar v'yitroma v'yinaseh. V'yitazar v'yitaleh v'yitalal. Shemei d'kudsha.
Rechu.
Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata.
Tushbechata v'nechemata Tamiran b'yama.
Ve'yimeru.
Amen. Be not afraid of silence. It's more powerful than the unpolished word. It allows God's voice to be heard. It allows tears and doubts to tumble out. We continue the top of page 42 with the cantor Adonai Svatai.
Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Svatai Tiftach. Na 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 Ofi Yagi. Ufi agir tehilatecha. Anananananana Adonai. Anananananana satai tiftach. Anananananana ufi agir. Ufi agir tehilatecha. Anananananana Adonai. Anananananana satai tiftach. Ananananana ufi agir. Ufi agir tehilatecha. Anananananana Adonai. Ananananana satai tiftach. Ananananana ufi agir. Ufi agir tehilatecha.
May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O God. Page 56, middle of the page.
Yehiyu le'ratzoni reifi vehegyon libi lefanecha Adonai.
Well, it's 4th of July just around the corner. I like to get all decked out for celebrating a very special day. And even the tallest that Janet made before one of my deployments. And we talk about customs. The custom is that you have fringes on a garment. It doesn't say what it's made of. But certainly if you wear something bright red or white and you're standing out in the middle of a war, you want to at least be camouflaged so people don't notice you. So I was grateful to be able to wear this on each of those deployments. Well, the week before Independence Day, I also want to talk about freedom. It's one of our most basic rights, and the right, well, it's granted in the First Amendment of the Constitution. It's freedom of speech. As Americans, we pride ourselves on the many freedoms we enjoy, but I think especially the freedom of speech. It's one of our most basic rights, and we're determined to protect it at almost all costs. Now, often when we're speaking out in its defense, even in the ideas, marches, demonstrations that are expressed by others, they border on inflammatory words or even something that we could find offensive. Well, a mature society, I would agree, is one that understands that proper speech is not just a right, but it's also a responsibility. We have to remind ourselves consequences for the words we choose and how we engage in public discourse. Well, despite the childhood rhyme of sticks and stones may break my bones, well, stones can definitely do harm. Oliver Wendell Holmes, former Justice of the Supreme Court, he used to say what was often repeated. The example where he said that freedom of speech doesn't give you the right to yell fire in a crowded theater. Well, now for the Jewish point of view, and it's a little bit different. The Jewish point of view toward freedom of speech is different because it says that we've got limits. Freedom of speech, we're told by the rabbis, does not give one the right to speak ill of another fellow human being. Slander in Jewish law, well, that's considered to be one of the most serious of all speeches. But unfortunately, in today's society, the concept of lashon hara, the halachic term for derogatory speech about a person, well, it's a speech which emotionally or even financially damages another person. It can even lower them into the estimation of others. So for some, it's difficult for one to grasp because we're so indoctrinated with the concept of free speech that don't always turn it toward what we should be doing as Jews. Now, if we were to follow the stringent Jewish law of shibrat lashon, which means guarding our speech, well, it's clear that we're not free to express ourselves as we want and as we please anytime we want to. But we don't live in Babylonia in the first century. That's when these laws were written. Well, here we are, free speech in the 21st century. And it means that we follow the many laws regarding privacy and also confidentiality. Well, living in America, we have the privilege of free speech. We're encouraged to speak out of, especially for change that we don't agree with happening here in America. We're told to speak out and to never remain silent. But then turning again towards Jewish tradition, there's the Hasidic tradition that recalls how once someone asked the Tsarkover Rebbe, they asked him, "Why haven't you preached in such a long time?" He answered, "There's 70 ways to teach Torah, and one of them is through silence." Well, in the book of Ecclesiastes, we also read that there's a time to be silent and there's a time to speak. And too often, there are those who fill the world with what they think is free speech, but it's no more than words of gossip, slander, where all of us would agree that silence would have been a much better choice. So for anyone who has traveled outside the United States, I have this feeling every time, that there's no greater feeling when you pass through customs upon returning home and you kind of say with a sigh, what a great country we live in. It's not perfect, but we're so blessed to have so many freedoms. Well, next week we're going to mark the 246th anniversary of American independence, and we give thanks for our freedom. We also give thanks for the men and women who made our freedom possible. So today, standing watch on land and at sea, there's so many brave men and women who, well, they step forward to serve, knowing the risks and the dangers that accompany freedom's defense. So since the 4th of July, almost 43 million Americans, while they defended our freedoms in defense of war. These brave men and women crossed oceans, they traversed continents to defeat the murderous ideologies to secure peace for all the generations that were to follow. So we live in liberty because of the courage they displayed. From Bunker Hill to Baghdad, from Concord to Kabul. Next time when we celebrate Independence Day, we honor their achievements. We thank them for their service in freedom's cause. And let me wish each of you a life of independence, a life of freedom, and a life filled with blessing. Amen. Well, I hope all of you took this beautiful calendar that seems to be updated every minute by Janet. Each time something changes, we throw this on the printer one more time. Thank you. Tomorrow, when you see something in here or something in the newsletter that's of interest and it says make a reservation, do it quickly, because with the numbers that we now have within the congregation, it usually goes away very quickly. And tomorrow, we're meeting with the 50 of us are going out to join the wounded soldiers that have come from Israel out at the ranch. And it filled up quite quickly, and obviously we can't take more at some of those events. But we do have coming up on July 18th. It's really important. It'll be at Beaver Creek Chapel. We're going to talk about the opioid crisis. And you would think it's not people laying in the street with needles coming out of their arms. It's very common, and it's amongst so many people that we all know. And we have an amazing speaker, so please take advantage of coming on July 18th. It's written in our newsletter. We have 2 mountaintop services coming. The first one in a week. And
can't believe it.
I know. But I already looked at the weather. It's supposed to be warm and sunny, which is nice. So we look forward to many of you joining us on top of the mountain. We had a security brief just a few days ago, and how things changed and how things have evolved. Well, we're going to have a lot of security on top of the mountain as well. Between the Park Service and the Vail Police, they're going to keep us all safe up there, which unfortunately these days we now have to talk about and be concerned. Your friend is coming for the first mountain.
Yes, we're so excited to welcome the amazing, very accomplished Jewish musician Colleen Dieker, who will be joining us on the July 9th Mountaintop Service. She'll also be joining us on July 10th for our learning event, where we will get to break off into separate chugim, different little electives that you can choose in small groups, and then we'll all gather together for a concert. But on July 9th, we'll have Colleen on vocals, violin, and keyboard, and we'll have percussion as well, so it should be a really fun service. All the B'nai Vail music that you know and love, just with some really exciting enhancements. So we're really excited to have that going on. All kinds of different, every Saturday is a different service somewhere else, so make sure you know where we'll be Saturday, since if you looked out back, we obviously can't be there.
So we're doing a service for the first time up in Leadville at the temple there, the old temple from the 19th century. We've never done that before. We're going out to, this is a little different, but we're going out to Nottingham Lake, which is also our mikveh. But we're going to be having a service at a platform that's out there, and you can either be laying in the grass, sitting in a chair, or take a paddle boat and come up to where we are for our service. And we have a Shabbat morning service there and at Walking Mountains. So we have a lot of varieties of where you can go and reservations for all of these.
We have some people joining us from Israel who are coming in to train at the High Altitude Aviation Training Center in Gypsum. Will be with us next Friday and Saturday as well. And our Memorial Day event.
Yes, on Monday we have the Vail Interfaith Chapel annual breakfast, which they're serving outside because there is no inside, and a patriotic service, and it begins at 8 o'clock for donuts, 9 o'clock for a service where I get to start the service off and then leave so I can go walk in the parade a little bit. So we invite you to come and join us here in the chapel on the 4th of July.
It's a really nice opportunity for our community of all different faiths to get together and celebrate together.
And again, it's wonderful to see so many of all of you that are here and all of you that are watching. You finally get to see us live. That's a surprise, I know. But we're glad to have so many of you with us. And each time you come in, it puts a smile on our faces. So we get to say, wow, it's been a year since we've had a chance to join summer with you again. So we're going to return to our prayer books now on page 60 as we rise and join together. Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'tik gdula le'otzer bereshit, shelo asanu k'goyei ha'aratzot, ve'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkeinu kahem, ve'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, Lifnei Melech, Malchei HaMelechim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'ne'emar, V'hayo Adonai, L'melech al kol ha'aretz, Bayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo echad.
At this moment, in the memory of our loved ones who are no longer with us, we join hands in love and remembrance, because a link has been broken in the chain that bound us together, yet strong bonds of home and love hold us one to another. In solemn testimony to that unbroken faith which links the generations one to another, we call to mind those whose yahrzeit we observe this month. Fred Allen, Joan Barr, Gerda Barrett, Janet Brown, Harry S. Bush, Edith Cantor, Morris Cohen, Thomas Daniel, Mark Edinger, Pauline Azursky, Faith Fermansky, James Gaynor, Arthur Glickman, Beryl Goldstein, Harry Goldstein, Miriam Graubert, Joseph Guss, Barbara Gutzman, Chaja Haling, Kenneth Hertz, Arnold Huddis, Eric Joss, Stuart Camber, Jerome Clowens, Selma Cohn, Ida Laberwitz, Norman Lantzman, George Lerner, Robert Lutweiler, Betty Levin, Herman Moore, Jo Ellen Moltak, Gertrude Palico, Ruth Plotnick, Edna Corton, Max Rappaport, Regina Resnick, Regina Scherf, Neil Scher, Myrna Sigmund, Ellen Rhoda Solomon, Jay Soslin, Betty Spitzmiller, Jacqueline Steinberg, Benjamin Stemple, Evelyn Trout, Mary Weinstein, Morris Wetcher, Walter Wolf, Jody Rubel, Eugene Yashik, and Joel Senslowski. If anyone else is observing yahrzeit. Thank you. The Mourner's Kaddish can be found in our prayer books on page 64. Those who wish may join with us as we say, Yitzkadal v'yitzkadash shemei Rava, v'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlech malchutei, v'chayei v'yomei chon v'chayei v'chal beit Yisrael, v'adalav v'zman kariv v'mramein, Yehei shmei Rava mevarach le'olam omei omaya, Yitvarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, Yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei v'kudisha b'rechu, Elamim kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, namiram b'yalma v'ramein. Yehei shlam rabba min shemaya, yechayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'ramein. Oseh shalom b'ramah, uyaseh shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'ramein. May be seated. Again, welcome to all of you. We know that you have a choice here in Vail to do almost everything. And we appreciate the fact that you made a choice to come and join us tonight. And this is Noah's first service with us, so it's wonderful. 1.1 years old, which is great. Get to introduce him to what Judaism's really like. So we're glad to have him with us. And for an alum, we're going to be a little patriotic tonight.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Page 66 as we join together.
Adon olam asher malach beterem kol yitzir nivra leit nasa bechefto kol azay melech shemoni Vehu yeveti fara. Vehu echad ve'en sheni. Lehamshil lo lehachbira. Bli reshit, bli tachlit. Ve'lo ve'hamisra. Ve'hu ili ve'chai. Goli ve'tzorchav li be'etzara. Ve'hu nisi umanosli. Menat kosi be'yom ekra. Be'yado afkid ruchi. Be'etishan be'aira. Ve'im ruchi geviati. Adonai li v'lo ira. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
And we'll rise for a blessing. Adonai oz li'amo yitain, Adonai varechet amo b'shalom. May the Lord grant strength unto His people. Bless all peoples with peace.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen l'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lachem min haaretz b'tei avon.
Shabbat shalom. There's challah and wine for everyone in the back.
Bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam, bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, hey Shabbat shalom, hey Shabbat 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 shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom.